Hey guys, this is Andrew with rockclass101.com, and in this mini lesson, we're going to be learning how to navigate the fretboard plus play with a swung rhythmic fill. So what do I mean by navigating the fretboard? Well, as a beginner player, a lot of the material that we learn kind of keeps us glued into the open position or first position, which means we're basically down here at the very beginning of the neck playing these what we called in music college cowboy chords, these stock chords that we learn, or maybe we finger pick a couple scales out of the open position. But for the most part, we're kind of stuck in frets open 1, 2, and 3. Well, this little etude, as you guys saw and heard, takes us all the way up to the 10th fret. So we're going to get experience playing throughout almost the entirety of the span of the neck, but we're also going to be learning how to navigate it. So here's what that means. If you take a look at your ukulele, you can notice that dots are placed on some of the frets. Now, unfortunately, manufacturers do not make it uniform. So take a look at what you've got, because sometimes the first dot, like on my ukulele, is on the 3rd fret. Sometimes the first dot is on the 5th fret. So I'm going to be calling out the dots as it's laid out on my ukulele, but adjust it for what you've got. So on my uke, I can see that my first dot is the 3rd fret, my second dot is the 5th fret, my 3rd dot is the 7th fret, my 4th dot is the 10th fret, my double dot is the 12th fret, and we've got one more dot on the 15th fret. Now we're not going to worry too much about these last couple dots here because we're not going to get that far up on the neck, but we want to go ahead and just memorize it regardless of that. So first is the 3rd fret, second is the 5th, third is the 7th fret, 4th is the 10th fret, and usually they place the double dot, 2 dots on the 12th fret. So go ahead and just memorize that, and let's try something. Let's try playing the open A, the 3rd fret, the 5th fret, the 7th fret, the 10th fret, and the 12th fret. Now if we play that, we get an A minor pentatonic scale. Pretty cool. But right now, we're not too worried about scales and theory stuff. We just want to memorize the frets as they correlate to the dots. So 0, 3, 5, 7, 10, 12, and walk back down. 12, 10, 7, 5, 3, open. So if you call it out, open, first dot, second dot, third dot, fourth dot, fifth dot, call it out by frets. 12, 10, 7, 5, 3, open. So you can use that as a way to practice jumping up and down the neck. And the last thing I want to touch on is, as I'm moving up and down the neck, I don't want to watch my hand like that. I don't want to follow my hand. Instead, I want to keep the eye on the prize. So keep your eye on the prize. If I know I'm going 3rd, 5th, 7, 10, 12, then what I want to do is I want to use my eye to navigate for me. So I know that I'm going 1st, 2nd, 3rd, 4th, 5th dot. So my eye is literally going to start here, then it's going to move here, 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 here. So I'm not following my hand going like that. Instead, my eye is looking ahead. I'm looking ahead, moving my hand, looking ahead, moving my hand, looking ahead, moving a hand. So you don't want to follow your hand like that with your eyesight. You always want to look ahead where you're going. And that's going to be one of the biggest light bulb moments, is that you use your eye to look ahead, have the fret markers memorized so you know what fret you're going to, and that's going to make playing so much easier and so much more efficient. Okay, so keep that in mind as you jump into learning this little etude. Now the second thing that this etude helps you with is swung rhythm. So that's a big concept to break down and explain, and we actually have a lesson that does just that. So if you're new to understanding the difference between playing with a swung fill versus a straight fill, jump into this lesson. I'll also link it in the description box below. This lesson is going to move forward with the assumption that you know how to play with the swung fill. All right, so with all that in mind, let's take a step back and let's talk a little bit about this lesson. So in this video, I'm going to be teaching you guys how to play this entire short little etude. But if you want to go ahead and get the tabs to print off keep for your records, follow along with, that's going to be available at this link right here. Or you can go to the site, rockclass101.com, do a search for ML002. That's the lesson number for this lesson. And also on the page is a really cool interactive on-screen tab viewer. Now this is a really neat feature where you can hit play, you can watch the tab scroll across in real time, you can highlight bars to loop sections, slow it down to any speed you want, just a great asset in learning this piece that much easier. Alright, so let's go ahead and jump into learning it, but before we do, a couple things we want to touch on. And the first thing is our right hand approach for finger picking. Now this is a tune that's kind of open-ended in what you can do for your right hand. You can literally use your thumb to play string 4, and your index finger to jump between string 2 and string 1. We're actually not playing string 3 at all until the very last chord strum of this tune, but that's a very simple strum. So you can literally use thumb for string 4, index for string 2, and string 1. And what you can do too is you can kind of use the 3rd and the 4th finger to touch slightly offset from the center below the uke body right here, just to kind of hold that in place. So you can try something like that, 4, 2, 1, just to get used to that. You could also use a 3-finger approach. So a 3-finger approach means that thumb gets string 4 and string 3, index gets string 2, middle gets string 1. So again, we're not playing anything on string 3, so thumb gets string 4, index gets string 2, middle gets string 1, so you can use that as well. So there's no right or wrong, but those are 2 starting points that you can use to play this. Okay, actually I think that's it, so just 1 point. So let's go ahead and jump into playing it. I'm going to put up the first line of taps, so we've got measure 1 and measure 2. First thing that you want to notice is the rhythm. Remember, we're playing swung 8th notes. So looking at these 2 bars, we can see it's all 8th notes, okay? The second thing is, look at measure 1 and then look at measure 2. What do you notice? They're identical. So if you learn measure 1, you've got it for measure 2. So keep that in mind as well. Now, here's what I'm going to do. I'm going to put a black box on all of these open G notes. So let's go ahead and cover those notes up. That leaves us with this for measure 1. Okay, so we're literally going to go ahead and take our index finger, play 3 on string 2, then take your ring finger, and you're going to do a slide. So you see a tiny little 5, that's a grace note. So a grace note adds flourish. Instead of us going 3, 7, 5, 7, we're going to add a little bit of color to that second hit. Right, sounds cooler than going. Right? You like that? I like that. Sounds really neat. So the key thing here with this grace note is just it's a quick hit on beat 2. Okay? So start with the index finger, 3 on 2. Then on beat 2, 5 to 7, quick slide. Then take the index, go 5 on string 1, and then 7 on string 1. Okay, so we have 1, 2, 3, 4 with me. Let's count it. 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4. One more time. Nice. So hit pause, loop that, get that down first. And let's go ahead and backtrack and talk about the navigating section of this lesson. So we talked in the beginning all about the dots, right? So first dot is 3, second dot is 5, third dot is 7. We're using that right off the bat with this piece of music, right? So we know that we start on our first dot, we go second to third dot, second dot, third dot. So right off the bat, we're already using the dots that we broke down and explained at the beginning of this lesson. So pretty cool, right? So use that to help you navigate. And keep in mind too, that the dots are above right here on the fretboard. So a lot of times with beginners, I saw them pivot the uke like this down so they could see the dots on the frets, but they're above here. So when you're using the dots, keep that in mind. You want to navigate based off the ones on top, okay? So here is what we're going to do. We're going to go ahead and remove the black boxes that we added. And now all we're going to do is add that open G in between all of those hits that we just played. Try that with me. if that's a little bit too fast, you can use that cog in the Etude player to slow it down to a speed better suited for you. But in a nutshell, that's all we're doing. We're playing a melody note on strings 2 and 1, and then we're adding that open G as a pedal tone in between all the hits. And it sounds really, really great. It's very catchy and very simple. So again, we know measure 1 and measure 2 are identical. Take a look at measure 3 and 4. If you look at measure 3, you notice that it's identical to measure 1 and 2. So what you want to do at this point is just hit pause on the video, loop it 3 times. Just get comfortable, get used to that, and then let's learn measure 4. So let's do the same approach. I'm not going to add the boxes this time because I want you to get used to kind of tuning out some information on your own. So ignore string 4, right? Just look at the melody line. The first thing you notice is that it's all on the A string. So this time around we're going 10, 7, 5, 2. So I want you to try that. You know that the 10th fret is your 4th dot. Use your ring finger, then go to the 3rd dot with index, 2nd dot with index, and then 1 below the 1st dot, 2nd fret with index. So try that with me. 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4. When you feel comfortable with that, add the open G. So that's simple, right? And that gives us everything for our A melody. So remember, measure 1 gets repeated 3 times, and then you have this little walk down for measure 4. Sounds like this. Nice. So at that point, you're going to go back and you're going to repeat everything. So you're going to play 1 through 4 again. So you've got 8 bars for the first melody A. Then we jump into melody B. And melody B, let's tackle these 2 bars at the same time. But first off, look at measure 5, then look at measure 6. What do you notice? They're identical. And second thing, ignore string 4, okay? Look at just the melody notes that you're playing on the E string and the A string. You can see that you're going 3rd fret on string 2, use your middle finger, open A, back to the 3rd fret on string 2, lift that up, open E. So you have two times in a row, right? 3, 0, 3, open E. Try that with me. 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4. So very simple, right? Now, let's just add the open G in between all those hits. With me? One prime. So very simple. That one's actually the easiest one to play because there's not much movement happening with our left hand, right? So let's jump into measure 7 and 8. And if we look at 7, let's go ahead and omit the 4th string. Look at the melody line. You can see that we're going to walk up. So it starts where we left off, the 3rd fret on string 2. And then we're going to walk up on the A string. Open, 2nd, 3rd. So I want you to use your index for the 2nd fret, middle for the 3rd fret. Okay? So melody line, 3, open, 2nd, 3rd. And let's look at the 8th measure as well. We're going to put our pinky on 5. So play that note. But look at my other 2 fingers. They're going to stay put. They're going to stay anchored. Okay? Because after you play 5, you're going back to 3, back to 2, and then to the open. So sounds and looks like that. So it's much more efficient if I just keep these planted, because once I walk back, they're already in place to be played. So you don't want to go something like that, right? Just keep them anchored down. So let's try that. We have 3, 0, 2, 3, 5, 3, 2 with me. Nice. And of course, we know what to do. We're just going to add the G in between. With me. Nice. And that gives us everything for melody B, although there is an alternative ending. But before we talk about that, let me play 5, 6, 7, and 8 so we can hear it as a whole in its context. Nice. And at this point, what you're going to do is you're going to go back, you're going to play 5, 6, and 7. And then you're going to alternate ending number 2, which is going to walk us up the A string. So we have a different ending. So instead of playing measure 8, you play measure 9. Now, what I think is the best way to tackle practicing 7 into measure 9 is to play them together as a whole. And right now you can only see measure 9 on the screen, so it's kind of hard. So let's do this. Now we can see 7 and 9 together. So take that melody note, 3, open, 2nd, 3rd. We know how to play that. That's measure 7. Take a look at measure 9. We go to 5th fret with our pinky, just like we did in measure 8. But we're going to keep walking up this time. So move up to the 3rd dot, then move up to the 9th fret, which is 1 fret before the 4th dot, and then move up to the 4th dot. Okay, so we have, with the pinky, 5, 7, 9, 10. If we put that together, 7 to 9, 3, 0, 2, 3, 5, 7, 9, 10. Sounds a lot like do, re, mi, right? Because it is. It's a G major scale. So take a second, get comfortable with that. It's a little tricky to use the pinky for all of this because our pinky is usually our weakest finger, so it's good practice in that regard. But if we play through everything, 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, done. That gives us good practice with playing this last melody ending. So what we have to do now is add the G string in between all of those hits. So let's go a little bit slower and try that. I'll play it once, you come in with me on the second time. Nice. Now the last thing I should mention too is that when you get to that 10th fret, we're actually going to play that as a quarter note. So you just want to play that once without hitting the G after it. So it just gives you a little bit more time to move back to playing melody A, but it also kind of emphasizes the ending of melody B. So let's do this, guys. Let me play through melody B in its entirety. So I'm going to go 5, 6, 7, 8, then I'm going to go 5, 6, 7, 9, so we can hear everything. Nice. So at this point, you're going to go back into melody A. So if we take a look at 10 and 11, we already know how to play this. And then if we look at 12 and 13, this is going to end it. It's going to sound like this. So what you want to think of is this last melody A, it's kind of a abridged version, right? So shortened. So only 4 bars. And we've got the same measure 1, 2, 3. So you already know how to play that. That's to a T to measure 1, 2, and 3. And then you're just going to end on the G. But if you look at the 12th bar, you can see that kind of like we ended melody B, we ended playing a quarter note of the melody note. We're doing the same thing here, just to buy us a little bit more time to grab the G chord. So keep that in mind. The last time for bar 12, end on that 7th fret, buys you more time to move and grab the G chord. Okay, and this G chord is just a partial bar, meaning we cover less than all 4 strings. So from 3 down, 7th fret, and then take your pinky, put it on 10 on string 1, strum 4 down. So the G string is open. Now, these bar chords, they're all about proper form. So you want to have this nice U-shaped gap. If you have no idea what I'm talking about, jump into this lesson. It's going to talk about the proper left-hand form for playing bar chords, but also for playing regular chords. If you need to recap on the fundamentals of these basic shapes, jump into that lesson. I'll link it in the description box below as well. But that's everything. So the last melody A, it's abridged, 4 bars only. Short and sweet. So that's everything for this lesson, guys. This was a really fun one for me to write. It's a cute, catchy little melody line that you can play, and it really helps you with navigating the fretboard, but also playing with that swung rhythmic feel. So you kind of get a double whammy in this lesson. So guys, I want to go ahead and give you a reminder that if you wanted to get the tabs to print off, keep for your records, that was available at this link right here, or you can go to the site rockclass101.com, do a search for ML002. That's the lesson number for this lesson. And also on that page was the really cool interactive on-screen tab viewer. So you can literally hit play, you can watch that tab scroll across in real time, you can highlight bars to loop sections, slow it down, all that fun jazz, which makes practicing and learning this tune much, much easier. So guys, again, I hope you enjoyed this mini lesson, and I'll catch you in the next one. Take care.